Are you vegetarian or are you plant-based? Oftentimes I'll see patients that use the terms interchangeably, but in fact they're very different. So let me explain what the difference is. Sometimes as a naturopathic doctor, I'll talk to patients and I notice they'll bend science slightly to support what their beliefs are. So let me just clarify a little bit, because the effects of the diet can have a significant impact on your mental health. Now, vegetarianism is an umbrella term, so it can encompass all sorts of different eating styles. One is an ovo-tarian or ovo-vegetarian. That means they only eat eggs. Ovo means eggs. They eat eggs and, of course, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and grains. Okay? There's also pescatarians, people that only eat fish. There's lactotarians, people that eat dairy, and of course, fruits, vegetables, beans, and nuts. And I've even heard of people that are flexitarians that will sometimes eat meats. When I say meats, I mean chicken, fish, beef, pork, squirrel, whatever the type of meat you eat, but they only eat them occasionally. Then of course, there are vegans. And vegans are people that do not eat any type of animal-based products. In fact, I know they won't even eat honey because they never ask the bees permission to take their honey. So that's the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan. Now, myself personally, I've been an ovo-lacto vegetarian for over 23 years, but maybe 80% of the time, I do eat only a vegan diet, no animal products. I do occasionally eat eggs, so I guess that would make me a flexitarian. I do sometimes eat cheese. If I go out and I have a veggie burger, I like it with cheese. I like to eat pizza sometimes. And some of the supplements I take are not 100% vegetarian. For example, most of the supplements you take, they use gelatin. Gelatin is made out of boiled bones, usually beef bones. I do take collagen supplements every day. Collagen supplements are made out of boiled beef bones. So I can't say that I'm 100% vegan because I'm not. I'm actually an ovo-lacto vegetarian and I'm a flexitarian. Like I said, I do take supplements that have animal products. Now, I do know people that go the extra mile and they are 100% vegan, and good for them for having the discipline with it. Whatever you choose is fine. It's whatever is easiest for you. Now, for myself, I do a cost-benefit analysis. I looked at vegan supplements. They're usually 5 to 10 times more expensive. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference for myself or for the environment. I just buy Costco vitamins because they're USB certified, which is the gold standard for supplements. Now, some folks, they tell me, well, doc, I buy these, they're 10 times more expensive, they're vegan. But one thing I want you to understand about supplements are commodities. So there's probably 1 or 2 factories in the world, most likely in China, from what I've studied, that make most supplements, and they sell it as a commodity. So they'll sell that vitamin C or that vitamin B, and it'll be exported all over the world. It'll go to Nature Made, it'll go to Costco, it'll go to the, vegan supplement makers, and they'll grind it up, they'll mold it into their pill, they'll color it, they'll stamp their label on it. It's the same stuff. Okay, that's not my opinion. That's just Consumer Reports, that's the research, the scientists, everything else. That's just the way supplements are created. They have a very low margin until they're sold what they call multi-branding. Multi-marketing people will start putting their own labels, their own names on it. That's where the money's made. But in the commodity space, very low margins, so there aren't that many producers. So remember, if you're spending a lot of money on supplements, oftentimes it's coming from the same place. Just look for USB certification. Now let's talk about what plant-based is. Now, a plant-based diet is a little bit different, and let me explain that, because oftentimes I see vegetarians and I'll talk to them, or vegans, and they go, doc, I only buy all my food at Whole Foods, and I go through the food they eat. It's all processed. They eat canned, they eat frozen meals, they eat banana chips, they eat cookies, and they think that they're healthy because it's all vegan, or it's all natural, or it's organic, or it's from Whole Foods or Erewhon or some other really expensive store. That is one of the biggest myths, unfortunately, and it takes advantage of people, and people spend a lot of money. I had some tenants that moved out, they were vegans, and they were film producers, they had a lot of money. They just left their refrigerators packed. And I was like, oh, awesome, I'm gonna eat all this stuff. Actually, I ended up giving most of it away because the food made me sick. It was all vegan. It was like stuff that I've never seen from Whole Foods, really expensive stuff, like $20 for each frozen meal. But again, it's processed food, so it's pretty much worthless. I hate to say that, but it is, it's worthless. Now, if I'm really hungry, I have nothing else to eat, I might eat it, but I would never personally spend my money on it. First thing, you're spending a lot of money on it. It's not worth it. And it's not nutritionally dense. That's what you're looking for. Food that is highly nutritionally dense. Now, what makes a food nutritionally dense? Raw food or what they call whole food, like the store. Food that hasn't been processed. Once you process food, asparagus, spinach, apples, oranges, grapes, beans, whatever it is, and you put it into a can, into a box or a bag, you're destroying the nutrients because most of those nutrients are heat sensitive. So they break down. Think about a fresh bouquet of roses. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend gives them to you. They smell great. They look great. And day by day, they go down. So the moment you pick or harvest those fruits, vegetables, beans, and nuts, the nutritional density, depending on the food, declines by the day. For example, berries, if you don't eat them the same day, they're gonna lose most of their nutrients. So I usually only eat frozen berries because those are the best. They retain most of the nutrients. Sure, you'll lose 30% of it when you freeze them, but you still get 70%. If I go to the store to buy some blueberries, raspberries, boysenberries, they were picked probably a day or two before. They had to be transported. They were on the shelf, in the store for a day or two. Then I might bring them home and I might leave them in my fridge for a few days before I eat them. It might be a week before I eat them since the time they were picked. They're gonna lose the majority of their nutrients. So depends on the food. Nuts obviously do not degrade as quickly. Just make sure you're buying raw nuts, not roasted or salted, because that does cause them to degrade slightly. Not as much as people might think, but it does decrease the nutritional density. Now, plant-based foods, they try to go for raw, whole foods. That means fruit, vegetables, legumes, seeds, nuts. That's what they eat. They avoid processed, minimally processed. They try to go for whole foods. Minimally processed means you just get an apple, you chop it up, you eat it. Now, processed means you get the apple, you make it into something totally different, like some type of applesauce that when you look at the ingredients, it has all sorts of preservatives and all these other maybe added sugars, and that changes the nutrient density quite a bit of the food. So minimally processed is okay. Ultra processed is what you want to avoid. So that's the difference. So if I really had to specify, I think I am an ovo-lacto vegetarian that goes mainly plant-based. I go to the store, I buy my fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, and grains, and I process, cook, or chop them up and eat them myself. I do eat a lot of shakes. I eat most of it raw, but that's the difference between a plant-based and a vegetarian. Again, vegetarians, I hate to say it, but oftentimes when I see my patients that are vegetarians or vegans, they eat very unhealthy diet. I'd say more than half of them. In Los Angeles, where I'm from, there's a lot of people that are into fitness, actors, singers, models, all this stuff. They want to look young, they want to eat healthy. They spend a lot of money on their foods. They go to Erewhon, they go to Sprouts, Whole Foods, they spend a lot of money, but unfortunately the food they're eating is processed. So it doesn't really matter. You can go to the cheapest store in the block as long as you're buying fresh food and you're preparing it yourself. That is the key. You need to prepare your own food. So I would say whatever diet you are, whether you eat meats or not, you want to try to go plant-based, where you're eating mostly whole foods. Now, another caveat with plant-based is they do avoid meat-based or animal-based products. Dairy products, eggs, all types of meats. That means chicken, fish, beef, pork, dolphin, whale, whatever you eat. They try to avoid that. So again, it's like a vegetarian, but they go a little further. They only eat stuff that's not processed or minimally processed. So that would be the best type of diet that you want to eat. Now let's talk about how that affects your brain health. Okay, your brain, if you've ever seen a cow brain, it's like jello. It actually jiggles because it's all fat. Now, brains do not eat proteins, carbohydrates, all those things. They do use some of it, but the tissue itself is mostly made out of fats. And what type of fat does your brain like? You've probably heard omega fatty acids. Now there's one in particular, different types of omega fatty acids, and one is called DHA. So let me say it slowly because it's even hard for me to say. It's called docosahexaenic acid. All right, so that's DHA, and your brain is actually made up of 50% DHA. Now, where do you get it from? Well, a lot of people say you get it from seafood, the smash diet, sardines, mackerels, anchovies, sardines, and herrings. Okay, that is true. You do get it from fish, but fish actually do not produce omega fatty acids. They're the middlemen. So if you really want to get high omega fatty acids, you want to get it from plants. Those fish have to eat algae, and they produce omega fatty acids in their body. That's why oftentimes when you buy farm-raised fish, they have very low omega fatty acids in them because they live in a pond and they're eating fish food that's made in a factory. They're not eating algae like they would naturally out in the ocean or in a river somewhere. What's another way you can get omega fatty acids naturally? Chia seeds and flax seeds. So in my diet, I try to include chia seeds and flax seeds pretty much every day in my diet. Now, if you're missing this fat, this omega fatty acids that your brain likes to use for fuel, you're gonna have decreased cognitive function. That's just what the research shows. What does that mean exactly? Now, if you have schizophrenia, you're bipolar, you have anxiety, you have stress, you have depression, well, your symptoms can be exacerbated if you don't eat properly. It can also affect your cognitive function, how smart you are, how quick you think, how sharp you feel. You know those days where you wake up and you feel kind of blunted, you feel kind of like in a daze, or you have fog, or you don't feel happy? Some of that could be because your brain is lacking the healthy fats. Another food you want to include for that are avocados, okay? When I eat my plant-based diet, I will also avoid mostly seed oils, okay? Like I just tried it for me. I tried olive oils, Evo, I tried MCT oil, all the stuff that, you know, science and people recommend as healthy fats. Now, for me personally, I run a very strict diet, and I try to experiment all the time with different foods, see how it affects my cognitive function, see how it affects my weight. And for me personally, when I tried eating olive oil every day, MCT oil, my cholesterol went up with the MCT oil. And it didn't improve my cognitive function. I felt sharper, but it made me gain weight. So it wasn't good for me, the MCT oil, for me personally. Now, the olive oil, for me personally, it made my weight go up. It did not affect my cholesterol. The MCT oil did make my cholesterol go up. Now, very few people have that effect, but it does have that negative effect on some small groups of people. So, for example, I made a video where I talked about eggs, and I erroneously said that eggs do not raise your cholesterol. Well, guess what? They do not raise the cholesterol in most people, but about 10% of people, they do raise your cholesterol. They do have a negative effect, and I'm one of them, okay? I check my cholesterol. I do blood tests quite a bit. I try different foods for all. I take blood tests. I just want to learn. I'm curious. The eggs do raise my cholesterol. So I have to admit, I made a mistake. So you can't generalize, okay? Remember, diets are specific to you. You have to experiment. You have to see what works best for you. For me personally, I don't use seed oils. They're not healthy for me personally. They're not good for my cholesterol. They make me gain weight. So how do I get my healthy oils for my brain? I eat flaxseed, chia seeds, avocados, and I eat nuts. I try to eat nuts every day. Which nuts do I eat? I eat almonds, and I eat walnuts, and I try to eat Brazil nuts. Those are the big three, and I try to get them raw. Those are the three best ones. Why? Cashews have too high of a carbohydrate count. They make you gain weight. There's a fungus that grows on them because they have to wet them, and they basically have to steam them to get the shells off. So they're probably the least nutritionally dense. Doesn't mean they're bad for you, but they're not your best option. Peanuts, most people are allergic to them. They're not really nuts. They're legumes or beans. They're okay. I notice when I eat them, I get phlegmy. So I obviously have an allergic reaction to them. Most people are allergic to them, so I don't eat those. Now, pecans are okay. Those are healthy, but they're a little expensive. I live in California. We produce most of the almonds in the world. So I eat raw, fresh almonds, and I eat walnuts. Those are probably the big two. And I would say Brazil nuts. Those are another one that's excellent. Those are harvested in the rainforest. Now, I'm very interested in this because I have a mom that's developing dementia and memory problems, and I see a lot of patients that have mental health issues, schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, midlife crisis, all kinds of stuff. And I want to make them feel better. I'm very concerned about myself, my mom, my friends, my family, the patients I see. I want to do the best for them. So what do I recommend them? They tell me, okay, doc, what should I eat every day? I go, well, make yourself a brain shake. Now, I have all sorts of variations, but I'll just give you the basics. Okay, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, blueberries, and avocados. I put it into a blender, I grind it up, and I drink it. I also mix in other vegetables that are healthy, dark green vegetables. But if you want to stick to the basics, what I give my own mom, chia seeds, flax seeds, avocados, blueberries, and walnuts. Those are the basics. That's what I give her. It tastes good. She enjoys it. She likes sweets, so sometimes I'll put stevia in it. I just want her to eat something that she enjoys. I want her to have good health. So again, don't make up things just to support what you believe believe in. We all have strong belief systems, but try to keep it to the fact. And the facts are that the best type of food or the best type of diet you can eat is a plant-based diet. Predominantly as little or no meats or animal products as possible. Now, a lot of us like animal products, like myself. I enjoy ribs, chicken, fish, but I don't eat it because it's not good for you. That's just what I don't do. Alcohol, they used to say drink a glass of wine a day, but now they did a long study with thousands of patients. They came out about a year ago that no safe amount of alcohol is good for you. So I just don't drink. I don't drink at all. I haven't drank for decades. But the same goes for foods. Basically, if you want to eat healthy, try to keep it plant-based or minimally processed foods. And for your fats, try to get them from seeds, avocados, and nuts. So thank you for watching. And from Santa Marta, Colombia, this is Dr. Ernesto. Thank you and goodbye.